All right, so we're going to start this one off with just a basic back view of the substation. You can see the arresters in the back, far back there, probably about 150 foot back. They got a little bit of PD shown at the top. We'll get a better view of those later. Just an initial scan throughout the substation, just to kind of look things over with the sensitivity set real high. And that really helps to, with the sensitivity set high to find stuff. And so with it set high, you can actually see corona where you expect it. And right here's a good example of it. These are the open air switches just sticking straight up in the air. They have little corona balls on the ends of them, but of course there's a little bit of corona there. So and you can tell there's blips all over the screen, but on these corona balls, it's predominantly blipping a lot more near them. So that's how you can tell that they're generating some corona. Here's an example of sharp edges on bus bars where they produce a little bit more corona than everything else around them, um, and that's to be expected. It's conductor material, so it's not too much of an issue unless you have some radio frequency interference. This is another angle from the other side of the substation where you can see that same thing. No real concern here unless you're getting some radio interference with your TVs or any other radio frequencies. And then here's another thing that's maybe not as understandable or noticed is these are the arcing horns of switches, and those also have corona, which if you think about it, should be expected. And I understand my arrows are a little bit off, but it's a moving camera at a pretty far distance. These are about 50, 60 feet off at least. So I got some good zoom on there, but I can't get the picture just right. But you can see the corona is blipping pretty good, pretty constant and steady around these spots specifically. And that's to be expected. And you just look throughout everything, you can kind of see it throughout the substation. Here's another good example. These are arresters on the high side of a transformer, and then also the high side bushings at 161 kV that don't have corona rings, and you can see that they generate quite, a fair amount of corona on them. Not necessarily an issue, but if, like you said, if you had some radio interference or something like that, it could be a problem. You can see I'm moving through the substation and it's still staying right there. So it's not like something that's, superimposed or local. It's at a distance. Here you can see the sharp edges of some conductors that are generating a little bit of corona. Not too much of a concern here. Like I said, unless you have some radio interference. Here's another. This one's a little bit more pronounced, where you can see that crimp back of that conductor is causing it. Here, the insulator. Now, this could be a potential issue, especially if it tracks further down the insulators. I'd recommend just doing at your next maintenance interval, taking a look at this and see what the potential issue is. But it is showing some corona on that insulator. Again, back to the crimp. You can see that crimp is producing some corona. So really only one potential issue here so far. And we just don't want to damage the insulators. This top line's got nothing really on it at all, just some random blips. The last thing here is some upper arresters in the back of the substation at 161. You can see that they're all sitting up there now. That far left one right there in this image has got quite a bit of corona. There's a reason. I'm going to show you another image or angle here in a second. But it's probably best to turn that line around and reorientate that because it's causing quite a bit more corona than the other two phases. And here's that other image, right? So you see that far right one. That cable's actually just twisted around sideways a little bit. It probably needs to get installed properly. Maybe that happened during the last maintenance interval, was put on backwards, but that's just what it is. So that's about it. Hopefully this helps someone.